Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video, doing JMA Friday today, having a detailed look at when it's coming month across the British Isles with Japanese and CFS V2 models as always on a Friday. It's going to take us into November, into the final month of the autumn of 2016, so we'll see what the models are predicting for the next month. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, this link's provided to all the pages. If you have a browse widget and click through the links, you'll be helping us to pay for the website. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads, most of the pages. They own that content when you watch it, close back up again. It does help to pay for GavsWorthies.com. So we'll start with JMA. These are 500 bar heights broken down into week periods, and then we'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies. CFS V2 comes along after that. So, we start off with week 1, which is today, 14th through to 21st of October. As you know, with these charts, blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow, orange, and red extrapolates to high pressure. So, for the coming week, we find that we've got a ridge of above average heights to the northeast of the UK, and also out to the northwest as well, a bit of a trough underneath it, and the mean flow with that is probably coming from a easterly northeasterly direction. That's pretty good for where we are right now. I think over time it's probably going to turn a little bit more unsettled over the weekend, particularly to the start of next week, before the ridge probably builds back again actually as we get through to middle and latter stages of next week. So overall a fair amount of dry weather coming through, I would have thought, with the anomaly during the next week. Week 2 looks very anticyclonic. This goes from the 23rd to the 28th of October. If this is right, it's going to be a really dry October, much drier than average. We have above average height sitting right over top of the UK. The jet stream is probably a bit split, doing something a bit like that. I'm not sure it's all that warm really under that ridge. We could be getting night frost coming along and mist and fog patches there. Probably not feeling all that cold by day, but it certainly looks very settled there as we're going into the latter stages of October. And then weeks 3 and 4, which goes from the 28th of October through to the 11th of November, looks like this. We find above average heights moving more to the west of the UK, with the jet stream possibly coming back a little bit, but I think it's doing something like that. So for the south and southwest, still probably a lot of dry weather. The north might be turning more unsettled with that. Remember, it's a 2-week anomaly as well, weeks 3 and 4, so it could be transition. It might be that the first week, week 3, has a high pressure still centred over the country essentially, and then week 4 might centre the high pressure down here somewhere with the jet stream properly coming back. It's hard to say really with those 2 weekly anomalies exactly how it plays out on a week by week basis, but overall certainly not overly unsettled. A lot of dry weather, especially I would have thought in the south and in the west. So, having a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies next, we have a look at the mid-latitude and tropical views. So, the British Isles is just here in the far top right-hand corner of the chart. As you look at it, a reminder of the height anomaly. So, we've got above average heights through the coming week to the west and also up to the northeast with a bit of a trough underneath it. What that means for temperatures is that they're more or less coming out average, maybe ever so slightly above average in the north and maybe a little bit below average. You probably can't make it out all that well, but maybe a little bit below average down in the south, but overall not a great deviation with the temperatures for the coming week. Precipitation, that looks a little bit more unsettled than you would perhaps expect, particularly so for the eastern side of the country. It's nearer normal elsewhere. We have got a very weak trough centred over the country though as the anomaly for the coming week, so perhaps not all that surprising that there is a bit of precipitation coming through. Week 2 has that ridge centred right over the top of the country, so you'd expect a drier than average week there. That's what the model is showing. From 21st to 28th of October, precipitation is coming out drier than average. And temperatures, they're coming out near normal again, to slightly milder than average. So once again, not a great deviation there for week 2. Remember, there could be frost and fog at night. And then weeks 3 and 4 takes the ridge more to the west of the country, possibly starts to move the jet stream back in towards the north. Temperature anomalies are still generally around average, perhaps ever so slightly milder than average, but no great deviation. Precipitation shows that it's going to be wetter than average for the north, so the jet stream is probably coming back there to the northern part of the country as getting to the start of November. Further south is actually a bit drier than average. So a lot of high pressure through the rest of October, and then into November may be signs that it's turning more unsettled, especially in the northern part of the country. Now, the CFS V2 looks rather different to this. So the next week is okay. This is from the 14th to 20th of October, 500 mm height anomaly, and very similar to the JMA. We've got the ridge up to the northeast and extending out to the north and northwest with the trough over the UK. So that's a broad representation, broad agreement of what the JMA is going for in the coming week. Basically the same. Week 2, however, this is when the JMA is building the ridge over the country. The CFS is actually taking that ridge back up towards the northeast again. So winds are coming in from an easterly direction here with trough of low pressure across Italy and also around Greenland. The jet stream is doing something like that. And I think we are bringing in easterly winds, so that could be quite cool there from the 23rd to 27th of October. Then we go through to week 3, and it's a very blocked picture. So the above average heights extending towards Greenland and Iceland now, and the winds again, I would have thought they're coming in from an easterly, northeasterly type direction. That's a lot of northern blocking there, centering around Greenland from the 28th to the 28th of October to the 3rd of November. And then week 4, this is when the JMA was re-establishing the westerlies and the jet stream to the north. The CFS continues this blocked theme, so we keep northern blocking going around Greenland and Iceland. A trough is in over Scandinavia and around the Baltic. Between the two, again, I would have thought we're bringing down northerly northeast winds. This goes from the 4th to the 10th of November. I would have thought by then, if this comes off as the model is suggesting, this could be really quite cold. By the time you get through into November, I reckon we'd be getting night frost, certainly with this. Possibly even some wintry showers across the northern part of the country. However, the temperature anomalies aren't anything to write home about. So the coming week, about average temperatures, a bit above average for the northern part of the country. Week 2, 23rd, 27th of October, comes out milder than average for the north, near normal elsewhere. Then week 3 comes out just generally milder than average. I'm not sure what's going on there. It doesn't make sense with the pressure pattern that the model is indicating. And then week 4 looks a bit cooler than average for England and Wales, still a bit milder than average for Scotland. I'd ignore those temperature anomalies. They don't make sense for what the model is doing in terms of its height anomaly pressure distribution. Those charts, particularly week 3 and week 3, which is just there, week 4, which is just here, they look colder than average to me. So ignore those temperature anomalies this week. They've got to be inaccurate, I would have thought. The precipitation anomalies for next week is a bit wetter than average for northeast of Scotland, near normal elsewhere. Week 2 looks significantly drier than average from the 21st to 27th of October. That would lock us in to a very dry October. And then we lose the signal for weeks 3 and weeks 4. We just revert close to average. I would have thought a bit drier than average, probably based on the setup, which is blocking off the Atlantic big time. I would have thought likely to be drier than average, but probably quite cold. So a lot of uncertainty there between the two models, especially as we get into November. For October, the remainder of October, quite clear signals. It looks like we're going to have a lot of dry weather coming up and remaining fairly cool, I would have thought, overall, really, with these pressure patterns. Get through into November. Clearly, there's a split between the JMA and the CFS V2. The JMA wants to eventually return us to a more westerly flow and possibly bring the jet stream back to Scotland, which would turn it unsettled and probably milder through the first half of October. The CFS V2 looks cold to me. Blocking persists around Greenland and Iceland into the first half of November, which will keep winds in from a northeasterly direction. By November, those winds are going to be getting cold, so you would expect night frost, certainly, maybe, not out of question, but Scotland could get some wintry showers with those sort of patterns. And precipitation, because the Atlantic is blocked off, I think it's likely to be fairly dry. So uncertainty for November, very dry signals for the remainder of October. That's how it's looking from the JMA Friday this week. We'll do it all again next week. As ever, these long-range models are highly experimental, so they're not to be relied upon. And the charts there, you might as well look at them, but don't take it too seriously. Tomorrow, it's the weekend forecast with tried and tested short-range models. And also, it's CFS 6 months look ahead tomorrow evening. That's going to take us off through winter and even into the spring. That really is just for fun. So come back for that tomorrow evening. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.